That's the beauty of it. What we've built out here, this grand project of ours. That's the whole thing. You asked a good question earlier. What is it that we're doing out here exactly? It's good questions like that that bring us to these points in life, these places in life where we are now, allowing us to achieve the impossible, the idealized, the dream. Specifically, what are we doing? We are here living, and we are here working and striving for a better tomorrow, a better future. And all that we ask is the women stay at home and cook, clean, do all the necessities that the men otherwise wouldn't be able to do, working how they are and doing what they are doing, all for a better tomorrow.
Our life together. We could lose this.
I don't trust it. And I don't want to be here anymore.
Yes, today we have Don't Worry, Darling. So I'm surprised at how much this movie has blown up just in general conversation, but especially during all these press tours. I'll try not to get too much into the drama of it all, but this movie has become infamous in its post-conception, and it's just, I feel like there's people are going to go see it and talk about it for the wrong reasons, but let's dive into it. So Don't Worry, Darling is a 2022 release directed by Olivia Wilde, an actor. This is actually her second film. Technically, she's an actor. That's mostly what she's done. But she did Booksmart back in 2019, which I was told by numerous people that it's actually a very funny, very good movie. So this is her second film. Bit of a divergence here, going from coming-of-age comedy to drama, potentially sci-fi, low-key horror vibes, mostly like drama thriller, right? Oh boy, we have our 3 stars. The one who seems to have avoided the drama, and in whom my opinion is the actual star of this film, Florence Pugh. I love Florence Pugh. You gotta know who she is at this point. She's in more and more and more. I consider her the star. And now the man that everybody came here to see, at least like 70% of the teenage girls that were in the audience in this one, Harry Styles. I got nothing against Harry Styles. I think that he is both a very talented musician, singer, songwriter, and also a very good actor. Overall, I got no qualms. I just know there's been some drama on the press tour and the press junkets, whatever. But Harry Styles in this, in terms of previous acting credits, I know he was in Dunkirk. Now, Dunkirk might have been his acting debut. I didn't look too much into it, but I remember. And then we have the 3rd star of this, and before I go too much further, Chris Pine, who, I like Chris Pine, whatever he does. He's kind of a household name. You know him. You might confuse him and Chris Evans. I don't know, but apparently there's some drama between Harry Styles and Chris Pine. I know people were upset because apparently Harry Styles, just due to his name, was basically given a lot more money to star in this role, and was given a lot more money to star in his role than Florence Pugh, who is the lead of the film. So that caused a lot of drama, I think, on set, or at least behind the scenes. I don't know. There's video you can find online of like Chris and Harry being weird with each other. I'm pretty sure Harry spits in his lap at one point. There's a lot to get into, but I'm going to try to separate the drama from the mama, the movie. Yeah. So yeah, the whole concept is like, all of a sudden we're in the 50s, right? 50s community, we're all living it up, having a good time. There's something mysterious happening. Florence's character seeing some weird shit. Things don't seem to be on the straight and narrow. Some little acts of violence start happening, and reality in life and what's going on comes into question. As far as we can tell, this whole little compound is out in the middle of the desert, and they're all just kind of living there in this idyllic 1940s, 50s style, the American dream existence, or what it used to be back then. Now all of a sudden there's a possible mystery to unfold, and Florence is going to try to go do it, while every single man in this town, and women, are gaslighting her into thinking that she's the problem and that she's going crazy. I was going into this film a little bit tired of it, only because I've seen the trailer for this film like 20 plus times, so I'm just like, okay, I get it, let me see the film. And then the scores came out, and the critics shredded this film. They ripped it to pieces. And you can normally tell by a trailer if a film is going to be good or not. When I saw the trailer for this film, I had no reason to believe that it wouldn't be, at the very least, like, enjoyable, right? I didn't think it was going to be... You can normally get like garbage or B-movie vibes. I thought the trailers were good. It's a good, solid premise in a trailer and aesthetic and the actors. Like, you're here for it. No problem with it. But I think that there's something going on in Hollywood, because I don't want to get all conspiracy theorist on here, but for this to get this bombed by the critics, those other films that were worse than this that didn't get review bombed like that, I'm just saying, something stinks here. Definitely not as bad as what the critics say. Is it like a top 10 film for the year? No. I mean, I think overall it was good. I think it was good, and I mean, you can probably guess my review will be just by me saying this, but I think it's above average. The actors are really what sells it. The actors and the aesthetic. All of the actors do a phenomenal job. As always, Florence Pugh, and I use this term a lot when it comes to people of talent, Florence Pugh is a powerhouse in her role. Even, I gotta say, even Harry, I mean, he kills it too. Everybody does a good job. Olivia Wilde's even in it. She does. No complaints about that. The performances are very endearing. They make you care and give a shit about these characters. They make you hate a few of them. They make you really care for Florence and her plight. So you really want her to figure out what's going on, but also not be committed to the loony bin for acting the way she's acting. Like I said, the aesthetic is cool. I mean, it's that like 40s, 50s aesthetic, that like I don't know if you call that Americana or American Dream or whatever you might call that, but like, you know, the nice bulky shiny cars, the suburban American homes, the whole like, the 40s, we're in a suit and tie to work with your briefcase and you head on down, and then afterwards we all go down to the bar to have a drink and a party, like all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all there. It's all in. It's always kind of fun to watch those aesthetics in film if the film is good, and that's why I like Nightmare Alley so much. Aside from it being a fantastic film, it had a very similar aesthetic. I like that aesthetic in that time period, minus the extreme racism, classism, and prejudice that existed back then, even more so. But I digress. Direction is fine. I mean, there's some really great scenes and moments. Overall, the film, I think for the most part, it accomplishes what it means to do. Even has a pretty decent twist that I didn't 100% see coming, so I was kind of there for it. I mean, I was very curious throughout the entire film to see which direction the film would go and how it would inevitably resolve itself. So props there for keeping my attention, at least. The problems this film does have, however, is that, like, it's... all the critics are like, it doesn't do anything new, and like, that's not my big concern. So you have your premise, and then the film actually shows you what the real premise is. It makes sense, it tracks, but it raises into the narrative a boatload more questions that I really would have liked the answer to. I would have liked some light shed on a lot of it, because there's a lot of implications, there's a lot of gray area and nuance. Once the actual narrative premise is truly revealed, you're like, yeah, that's cool, but then why is this person doing this? How does that make sense? What is this? It leaves a lot of what the narrative beats are, what the major stuff is in the film, even the little stuff. It leaves a lot that happens in the film up to a matter of conjecture for a lot of it. It raises more questions, more implications, and I'm left more, just kind of like, it's like the end of Men. When the movie Men ended, I was like, okay, first two acts of that were great, third act has me questioning reality, like what's going on here. Similar from Don't Worry Darling, the movies overall, like ebb and flow, A to B, is all well and good and exciting in moments and fine and curiosity piquing, but then when you have the answer, you just say, okay, now most of this makes sense, but I would like them to have delved even more into that, shown even more. You didn't have to be expository with it, but I wish they would have fleshed it out a little bit more. It wasn't terribly exciting. It wasn't incredible of what they did with the story or anything. It was interesting and intriguing. Is it worth it in theaters? Sure, yeah. I mean, you could probably check it out in theaters. Like, it's a good movie. I would, as I said, it's above average. It lacks a lot for me. I wish they had fleshed out the narrative a bit more. Lacks the wow factor. Well, the crazy thing is, this movie's rated R, and this is one of the lightest R's I've ever seen. Like, there's some blood, and there's a lot of swearing, I guess, and I think it's because a lot of sexual content. I mean, you get to watch Harry Styles basically eat out Florence Pugh. You don't see any, hoo-ha, but like, it happens, and boy does it happen. I'm just like, oh, Florence, oh my god. Like, I mean, it's just, you would think with an R rating things would have gotten even more darker, but it felt like just they had to slap an R on it, and for some reason, this almost could have been PG-13, but I guess I'm glad they didn't. But I don't know, for being an R film, it's supposed to be a drama thriller with a mystery going on and something truly nefarious under the floorboards. I referenced this movie in one of my last reviews. If you want to watch a movie like this that is actually the same-ish time period, watch Bad Times at the El Royale. This movie was slept on so much by people. I mean, you people out there. Watch Bad Times at the El Royale. You will have an infinitely more fun time. It definitely earns its R rating, and I think it's a better film overall. I still think that Don't Worry, Darling is good, just not great or fantastic. And for that reason, I'll cut to it. I give Don't Worry, Darling a high 3 out of 5. Like I said, a high 3 out of 5. It's above average. I think the critics got this one kind of pretty wrong. I think there's, like I said, something shady going on. That's like what, like low 30%? That implies this movie is like almost unwatchable and rotten. I disagree strongly. I think that this movie's no masterpiece of 2022, but come on, like it was good. I thought it was pretty good. Like, you know, for some people I'm sure it was really good, but I don't know. That's all I got to say about Don't Worry, Darling. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next movie review that I do. And goodbye, travelers.